Got 2 minutes.
Can everyone do a mic check again real quick?
Testing.
Get him.
Me. I'm gonna tell you when, I'm gonna ask you. I'll ask you when to do it.
It's his hearing.
Hello.
Hello.
Reader's down there.
You want to tell him? His hearing aids.
Is it on? Is it on? And then I'm
What?
going to, we have to review the minutes, and I'm not sure you was to the next one.
All right, she's
2
gonna.
minutes, it ain't gonna take 1 minute. I mean, we gotta need that. There's gotta be some order to our.
You turn it on? Is it on? We're good?
1 minute. 1 minute, we're ready. It is now 6 o'clock. The Monteagle City Council meeting of June the 28th, 2021 will now be called to order. We're going to start out with roll call. Nate Wilson.
Here.
Alvin Powell.
Here.
Jessica Favaloro. Here. Dorian Parmley. Here. And Marilyn Rodman. Welcome. Now, I'm going to ask everyone to please stand for prayer. Mr. Jean, would you please lead us in prayer tonight?
Let's pray. God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather this evening as a community. We ask your blessing upon this council as they go about their work, that the decisions they make might be to the betterment of the town and our area, and for all the citizens who are part of this community. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Greg, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then next we will have the approval of minutes from May the 24th public hearing and a special meeting June the 14th. You have those in your packets there.
I've already read over these. I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a motion by Doreen? Do we have any discussion or any changes from anyone else? If not, do we have a second?
I'll second it. I approve these minutes.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. Minutes are approved. We're going to change the order of the two things tonight. First and foremost, I asked everyone to remember some of the community members in prayer. We won't probably have our fire department, our police department, because there was an incident this afternoon, probably about an hour ago, and there's been 2 injuries. So that's all we can discuss right now. But both police and fire are on scene with that, and they're being airlifted. So please remember the folks that are involved in prayer. And Mr. Maloof's going to report for fire at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And please.
Alright guys, I apologize. She said Chief Downey was tied up, so I kinda had to start on at the last minute. He asked me to go over the stats for May and June. Combined, we had a total of 9 drug arrests, 5 DUIs, 7 assaults, 11 thefts and 2 evading arrests, which wound up in pursuits. So, the stats aren't here about how many overdoses we've had. We haven't been using a lot of Narcan here lately. We're seeing a lot more heroin coming in. Heroin meth the main problems right now. So, but other than that, like I said, he just gave me the quick version of what to tell you guys, and I'm gonna turn it over to Greg.
One thing before you step down, will you introduce yourself, because some of the council hasn't met you yet?
My name's Officer Tony Fulmer. I've been with Monteagle since November.
And city court will be, just so we have this for sure, because there was some changes that were done, it's July the 22nd at 6
As far as I
p.m.
know.
So, and that will be sent
Unless
to the
something
town and
changes.
announced too,
Yes,
when
ma'am.
city court is in July.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Is this on? Yes, it is, okay. I'm honored to be working with Chief Nunley. He has the experience and the knowledge to protect and serve Monteagle properly and effectively, and I mean that in all sincerity. He has credentials, background, experience, and knowledge, so I'm glad that he's on board. We have been working with Janet Miller-Schmidt to obtain grants for necessary equipment such as properly rated vests, new radios to meet the radio technology of the counties in our service area, tasers, vehicles, additional personnel, etc., some of which you've already dealt with, and Janet is working on that, so we hope to get responses. I have almost completed the proposal for the purchase and installation of a generator. I expect to meet with the gas company to evaluate the gas supply to the generator and the heating system. It seems that there's gas-fired heat in the police department building. I just want to make sure there's enough to satisfy both appliances should there be a power failure. Discussions and decision are needed to dispose of out-of-service vehicles. Of course, the equipment and lettering must be removed prior to sale. Vehicles that are in service should be returned to the owning agency. And I'll get to that in a minute, but you have before you, I hope, the vehicle inventory. And we can all do the math, but I think there are some vehicles that just have to go. There are some that is marked town vehicle and fire department vehicle. Those should go, and that's what I meant, to those agencies, and they can do what they want with their vehicles. You see vehicles parked at the police department, and some of them are not for the police department, so I think they need to be reviewed. So I hope there could be a motion to sell the unwanted vehicles based on the information on the handout. I understand if there's an auction, there'd be a minimum bid. If there are other ways of disposing it, we should do it so we can get some money in the respective accounts. That's my comments for the police department. If you have any questions on the inventory, it's basically kind of basic. Sometimes the radio is obsolete, but the lights may be good, or the siren may not work, or this or that. So the first thing we want to do is get the functioning police cars to have the proper radios, because the county and neighboring towns have changed radio frequencies, or radio, whatever they call them, channels, and we need to be on board with those. So we're getting new radios on that. And the rest, as I say, is self-explanatory.
Of this list, which ones are ones that you're thinking need to be gotten rid of? I don't see it.
Well, I didn't make recommendations, honestly, I left it to you. A lot of them, the newer ones, of course, with the lower mileage, starting with the 2014 light siren radio, all good, low mileage in the 60 to 70 range. Those should certainly be kept. The top one, the Chevy Tahoe, it was in the shop for another repair, and that's 19 years old, so you have to decide. I did not want to tell you what to do, but I think looking at this, you kind of get the drift. The town vehicle, the Dodge van, that's up to you all to decide anyway. That's not really a police vehicle at this time, but we'll see how that develops. And then the Dodge Charger, lights, no siren, radio obsolete, over 100,000 miles. What do you want to do with that? And we can sit down with the chief at the appropriate time. I just want to make you aware that we took a first step and talked about vehicles.
It's more of inventory, Nate. What we're gonna have to do is get with John as well, and then we'll have to go through the process of pulling it out of inventory, doing an overall auction with a minimum bid.
Yeah, so we're not asking for any action tonight. 'Cause I'm
No,
just gonna
this
feel
No,
like I
he's
have
just
to-
giving you the inventory list. He's just beginning, aren't you inventorying everything, Greg? That's what you're giving us.
Well, the police department, no. When I get to the fire department, we've been looking at some, but The police department, as I say, Chief Nunley is on top of things. If he knows that 2 radios are obsolete, he's asked for a grant for 2 radios, new radios. If we're not using a vehicle or a vehicle is always in the shop, he's asking that we dispose of it. But I did not bring that information tonight. I just want to make you all aware that there are some vehicles that need to be reviewed.
And you're getting the price on the generator and to get it installed, because we do have someone that's going to match a
Right.
portion of that, so we're working on
Well,
that.
as we've discussed, I'd rather present one package one time with all the information than to say the generator might cost this, but I'm waiting to hear from the gas company. So let me get all the information and then I'll be back to you with the final number.
And we'll present it to the donor then, when you get all the information together.
The what?
We'll present it to the donor that's willing
Yes.
to donate on that one item
Yes.
that they've discussed.
Any questions on police? Okay. Just move on to fire?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, are there any questions in the report that you have in your packet? That's pretty cut and dry. The chief prepares it based on the activities. Just remember, it's not a calendar month. It's from the Thursday before the city meeting to the Thursday before the city meeting, so. Okay, then, hearing or seeing any questions, I would first ask that you approve Travis Lawyer as the Monteagle Volunteer Fire Department Assistant Chief. He is a man of vast firefighting experience in the areas of reports to the various agencies, and there are several, as there are in the police department, by the way. Training in firefighting, etc., and having recently served as the incident commander at the smokehouse fire. And Mr. Lawyer is here with Chief Brewer, but no, he's not because of the incident. But I don't know your governance, if you need a motion to accept him as Assistant Chief, or how you proceed.
Well, I think we do, and the thing it is, we had asked Garen and Travis supposed to be here tonight, but of course they're on scene. And as you say, Garen has recommended Travis, and Travis does have extensive, experience, and he also works with forestry, actually, so he has certification as well. He was also incident commander on the scene whenever the chemical spill happened. So he's actually proven himself multiple times. He wants to work with Mr. Malif on, I know you said insurance, admin things, and developing our staff, the fire department as we move forward. So the one thing though would be the budget. Do you want to bring it up here or do you want to wait till, because he did one?
No, we'll wait until. One thing I will say, he has been the hazmat incident commander, etc. But we're working on, and let me get to this because it goes to this topic. As you recall, some of our comments from last month's report, we are conducting ongoing inventory, maintenance, equipment, and vehicle reviews. We are identifying equipment shortages, turnout gear issues, and necessary vehicle maintenance. As of now, we will be replacing as needed expired turnout gear. I suggested that as a first step. If it's expired, there's no need in giving it to anyone, so we'll work on that. Old radios, as the police department is doing, the same type of problem, and just basic equipment to stock a truck. And as you will note in this month's report, one fire truck is out of service for at least 2 weeks. We currently have no scope of work or the cost of repair. They towed it Friday, they put it on the rack, they have to look, they have to disassemble, etc. So that may take several more days, but we wanted a complete report of what was needed. And when we have more information with all of the numbers, I would ask for a special called meeting to discuss and decide fire department matters, including the purchase of a replacement truck or investing in a truck that is more than 25 years old and, in my opinion, should be out of service. After a while, you reach the theory of good money after bad. We can fix this for a lot less than what you would buy a new used truck for, but then what's going to happen tomorrow? Well, nobody really knows, but sometimes when things start going, everything starts going, has been my personal experience. So it's something that you should all think about. I want to make you aware of it because sooner or later we're going to have to make a decision. The repairs could be in the range, and it's only a guesstimate, so don't hold me to it, plus or minus, but we're somewhere in the range between 8,000 and 12,000.
How old is it?
25.
And 20, where did I put that? Oh, more than 25 years old. both of those, one is a 93 and one is a 98. And that's why I want a special call meeting. Sooner or later, we're going to have to face this issue. Excuse me?
It was bought in 2010 or 2011 from Brinkley because it's a.
But it was used. So
Yeah,
that's
it
what I mean,
was.
they're new used
Yeah.
fire trucks. But they've been in service 25 plus years. So anyway, I must tell you the chief has alerted neighboring departments and mutual aid partners because we're down to the one truck. It's the tanker and one truck. So it's an issue, and the delivery time is about the same, which is our best guesstimates. If we get a new used truck, it's probably 2 weeks. If you make the repairs, it's probably 2 weeks if the parts are in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're basically in that time frame of 2 to 3 weeks for getting a truck or a second truck. So we will be working on grant applications with your approval and with the assistance of Janet Miller-Schmidt, who is gracious enough to work on this time-consuming and detailed project. You know, you don't just, as you all know, you don't get a piece of paper, fill it in, and hope you get some money. So there's a lot of research and time that Janet is putting into this. And as I am sure that we all realize, manpower is an issue in a volunteer department. We had talked about a junior firefighter program. I contacted Steve Cross, who was referred to me by MTAS, and he provided me with information that I'm reviewing with the chief. And this program has proven to be successful in other departments and merits the continued investigation. And I'm not at final yet, so time is of the essence in emergency responses. I have a proposal from Monteagle Security Operations. I've just started, but I want to make you aware of it. To install a camera at the 911 office directed at the fire department doors, as well as a means to open the fire department doors as soon as the department is paged. Cost is $2,900, which includes the camera, but I have yet to review this proposal with the fire chief and the 911 board. The preliminary 911 board, in talking to Don and some of the folks in the building, has given preliminary approval to monitor the camera and to raise the doors. They don't see that as a problem. It would be a simple procedure. Sometimes they tried to use their cell phones, sometimes they had a button, sometimes they had something. We're looking for the most effective and yet time efficient system. So this is one of several things we're studying. Finally, the fire hydrants should be maintained on a regular basis. This includes flushing, oiling, flow meter readings, inspection of caps, hat colors, treating rust and other issues affecting the proper operation of the hydrants. And John and I met as recently as this morning, and I look forward to working with him to set a schedule to perform these tasks. You don't take a day or 2 days and try to do everything at once. So we're going to look at a map and pick a system that would work and not drastically impact the manpower of the water department. And those are my comments. Thank you for your attention. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
I have a question about the new used,
Yes, ma'am.
what sort of figure are we looking at? What's the cost estimate?
One quote was $280,000, as opposed to a new one, which is 800 plus, depending on what you put on it. So it may be the way we go. Honestly, too, if grants take a while, this may be our second truck, and if we do get a grant for another newer truck, we may be able to get rid of the other old one in the fire department. But that's future planning. We'll see how the numbers and the schedules come in. I'm just making you aware of things so it's not last minute shock treatment, or sticker shock as they call it.
Well, we do need to vote on Travis, and then we'll come back and revisit Travis as far as him getting us stopping as well. That was discussed as well. So,
Well, I didn't hear the comment.
do you want, they asked, do we need to vote on Travis as the assistant chief? So we do need to vote on that as a part of, needs to be, somebody wants to make a motion to accept Travis Lawyer as the assistant fire chief for the town of Monteagle.
But this is a vote without any stipend associated?
We're gonna come back and revisit the stuff, and you didn't want to address that at the same time, did you?
I could. I mean, talking historically, I don't know what had happened over years past. Traditionally, and for no scientific reason in the world, it might be half of the chief's pay.
We discussed it with Travis at $400 a month, you and I did.
Yeah,
So
we
he
did,
was
but I'm
willing
just saying.
to do that,
that's-
so that he had said that he would do the assistant chief's job for $400 a month, a stipend.
Did we get a job description for the assistant chief that includes these insurance payment processing that Travis had volunteered to do?
Well, not in writing, but he has done them. Just as an aside on insurance claims, we submitted materials and everything but manpower, and we're working on the manpower number for the smokehouse fire, and I delivered that to their insurance agent this past week, I think it was. And I gave our copy of James David's report to them as well, since they see them more frequently than I do. So that James David gets a copy and his insurance agent has a copy, and they'll just process that. And we'll follow up, but the short answer is, yes, Travis prepared that. He's preparing the man hours for that fire and for hazmat and any other claim that comes up that would qualify. The other thing, that, since you bring up insurance, somebody has to come up with a policy that if there is a charge to homeowners and it's covered by their homeowner insurance policy, that the fire department get reimbursed for that call if it's appropriate and allowed and all of that. But somebody needs to check that and come up with a policy.
Do we currently have a policy regarding billing for calls?
No, because that was handled through the fire department, through Brinkley. In the past when we did it, I don't know what others did it. So Brinkley actually handled the billing for us. Then the money went into the account. Now, according to, was it Garen had told us that Brinkley had changed? Brinkley's the fire
Yes.
department company in Alabama. A lot of people are familiar that makes fire trucks, builds fire trucks, and does a lot of this. So there was some changes in their administration, and they said they felt like they could do it in-house. But to answer your question, Nate, there is not a formal job description, but there can be by the next meeting when hopefully we can introduce police officers and firemen, correct? Because Greg and I talked about both that and having some policies set in place that we could utilize, which we can address at the next meeting.
So it sounds like at the next meeting, we need to come up with some policies for billing procedures and how we're gonna do that. I mean, obviously, if somebody loses their home and they don't have insurance, we're not gonna.
No, you don't bill them. It's,
No,
the
right.
only way it was billed in the past is if you had insurance, it would be billed toward the homeowner's insurance. And most homeowner insurance policies has a minimum amount, $100, $200, $300. It's just according to what the policy has, they pay. Same thing with truck fires, same thing with vehicle fires. And if you don't have it, of course, there is no insurance, but it's whatever the insurance, the fire department would have to get the information, then we'd have to decide who does the billing. But that's the way that's handled. Businesses have it too. You know, we don't know how much the amount is, but if we're not billing anything, we're not getting anything.
But that's gonna be part of Travis's job, right? Is to do
Yes, he
the-
said he would work on the insurance claims, and he has those
But-
two that I mentioned.
You can have job descriptions basically that we can review with him and Garen at the next meeting, correct?
Well, there'll be a basic first draft, yes.
Well, I know, we don't expect perfection at one time.
No,
So,
not all the time, maybe.
I think just a separation of duties would be sort of a good first step. Whose job is, what tasks fall to the chief, what tasks fall to the assistant chief, and how it operates as we build bureaucracy.
Well, and not to take up a lot of time and discuss this, but honestly, the chief is the boss at the scene. And if he appoints someone as an incident commander, then that's done. The other stuff is administrative and training and equipment maintenance and those sorts of things. And we can certainly address that in the job description.
so, do you want to address both Travis as the, I mean, we didn't vote on Travis being the assistant chief, and then if we want to award a stipend for him as well for $400 a month. So how do y'all wanna do that?
We talked about where this money would come from. Is it coming out of the
Well,
standard fire department
currently,
line?
we had planned on hiring someone to be a consultant, and they haven't done that yet. And we don't know at this point in time if they're coming or not, do we?
No,
And we
not
are
for
going
another
to,
week or so.
Greg and I'll meet with them and find out, but we haven't expended any of that money.
I got you.
So it'd be right now a lateral shift until we would address it.
I would make the motion that we hire Travis Lawyer as assistant chief, subject to a division of duties and job description coming in next month, so that we just know who to go to say, okay, who's accountable for insurance, who's accountable for inventory,
Well, with all due respect, yes, we can do that, but I don't know if it should be part of the motion to
No.
get bogged down tonight.
Well, we've gotta have it, as you said, a deadline, so that's all you're doing is saying we'd like to have a draft.
Yeah, but the motion is to approve him as assistant fire chief? I'm asking. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, that's fine.
And I'll second.
So we're going to, we have a second, we have a motion, do we have any other discussion? Now, we're just doing him as the appointment assistant fire chief, we'll go back and revisit the stopping, correct?
Correct.
You got it, Debbie? No, the stopping's not included in this one, they're gonna come back, I was making sure. Okay, so, all in favor? Aye. Okay, now we can go back and revisit giving him a stipend of $400 a month for him being assistant fire chief with assigned duties and a job description.
Well, I'd like to move that we allow him, Travis Lawyer, to have a $400 a month stipend. He's actually doing the work now.
Thank you.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? We'll just do roll call since it is a Nate,
Yes.
Alvin,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Doreen,
Yes.
myself, yes. So,
Thank you. Anything else?
nothing, I want to enjoy your.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Good
it.
job.
Thank you, thanks Greg. Okay, now. We're going to move up business permits because we have some people also here early that have to leave. I apologize again, tonight's a little bit different, but can we deal with that right now at this point? And then we can move back to. Well, if you need to leave, we'll just keep you here with codes enforcement and we'll get everybody out here. We'll get our budget lady here tonight.
Okay, I think I have 4, business permits. The first one is a new ice cream shop called The Scoop. I talked with Emily Wallace today and her and Clint are out of town, but somebody was gonna be here to represent them. Yes. And, here's what we're gonna have to do with this, since I went by there today, and it's still whatever it was, it's still a business was there that has been there, okay? I've talked with Emily, and she said in a couple of weeks, they're gonna have it ready for me to come in to do my inspection, so we can make sure life safety issues are being addressed. But, since somebody's gonna be here tonight, I thought it'd be okay to let them go ahead and tell what they're gonna be doing. And y'all could go ahead and actually vote on it if you want to, upon my approval when I see it. If you wanna do that, so.
Do you mind coming up, sir?
I do not mind at all. Thank you very much. Emily Wallace, my sister, and her uncle Clint Mellon are planning to open a seasonal ice cream restaurant. It's called The Scoop. They'll have a soft serve machine with vanilla and chocolate, and then they'll have 10 to 12 other scoopable flavors for cones and cups. And that's the gist of it, is there's no ice cream on the mountain unless you want to drive through McDonald's or Sonic. And they see that as an opportunity, especially as the summer months and the boating gets going, for people to come through and, stop off and get some ice cream.
Where will it be?
It's,
Across from the pig. The A
The
from
red
used to be
building,
full
okay,
circle.
there. Looks sort of like a barn.
yeah, but I haven't been in it, but they said it's set up almost as a residence at some point. And so there's a large front area. They'll be able to put a serving bar and have some little stools out on the deck there.
I think it was a real estate office before, wasn't it?
It was.
When it's first built, yeah. So it was open-ended.
Is it? Do they have non-dairy options?
I am not yet aware of what the menu choices
Then you're
will
rising
be.
above, otherwise.
To be honest, I don't know that they're gonna be able to pick flavors until they get the contract set up with Cisco or somebody, but yeah.
It's just a question that some people care about.
Yep.
Okay, so we have, Earl, is everything ready, so to approve it based upon your
Yeah.
approval in a couple of weeks when it's ready?
They understand that what I'm gonna be looking for are emergency lighting and exit signs and fire extinguisher and the life safety.
Well, just ask the question to make sure it's zoned for that type of commercial business, everything's fine on that end, correct?
I'm sure it would be,
Yeah.
it's what C2 did, that's the highway business district, pretty much, have anything there.
And so then, as July 1, we're going back to enforce the cost of signage. Shall you work with them on the signage as what they're putting up in those areas, or you and Jared will? Are y'all handling this?
I'll assist Jared.
Yeah, and how to do it as it goes forward. So does anyone have a question about Scoop Ice Cream Shop.
I'll make the motion to approve his license, business license on Earl's approval.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next one is High Vibes Healing, excuse me.
High
Y'all
Vibes
know it
Healing.
sounds healing studio, and I think the nice ladies here.
Yeah.
for that.
You wanna come up and
Sure.
introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about your.
Yeah.
Hello everyone, my name's Annalie. It's high vibes, not high five. I know it's a little different. High vibes, like a joyful, harmonious, peaceful vibration. And so this is a yoga studio. We also do sound healing, and we will also have Tai Chi and Qigong. So essentially all movements that bring energy through your body, help you feel good, awesome. People like bending, reaching, lifting. Yeah, sorry, I'm an entertainer. You know, it's good to smile and laugh a little bit. So we have been open for 2 months, and we are located in Country Mart on the left side entrance. And yeah, you should come on by and check it out. If you've never done yoga in your life, it's only $1 for the first time. And we have like a flow class, harder classes, and slower classes for people who maybe they think my body hurts or I have pain. So it's really something for everyone. I encourage you all to come. It's just a beautiful place. We'll have workshops and just awareness about health and wellness. So yeah. Anything else?
Do you have 911 on speed dial?
Oh yeah.
And then you can go to the ice cream shop and vice versa for your energy
Yes.
drinks.
And then
you
you
can with your yoga.
And then you go to rent it and ride, drink your
Yeah.
wine, whatever
Yeah, so
happens
it's just-
afterwards, we don't know.
Or you can money on nutrition, you know, just keep
Exactly.
it going and buy
You
clothes.
Support all businesses.
Hey, we can work that one out and buy your wardrobe somewhere around there, so we'll just go rock it.
Yeah.
So does anyone have any other questions?
What exactly is the name of it?
High vibes healing.
Hi.
Like vibe, like a vibration.
Okay, I said feel.
Yeah.
I thought
You're
Earl said
feeling-
high fiber.
There is a generational gap when people say high vibe and high five, but it's all good. Most of my students are 60, 70 plus. Just so if you
We're gonna fill out a place.
exactly, if you think you can't do it, anyone can do it. If you have a body and you can breathe, you can do yoga. Any excuses you still hold, that's your own judgments. But you can just come and be as you are, and all is well.
Some people here may have known your mom, you might
Yes.
wanna mention her.
Yeah, my mom is Carolyn Fitz, and my stepdad's John Bordley. They were active in Swanee for like 40 years, and they now live in Asheville. They're retired, and they're living a beautiful life there. My mom will come up and help teach some classes when I go to Alaska with my husband. And so if you did her classes, you can actually come and take her classes. And like mother, like daughter, I suppose.
I make a motion to approve this license, High Five Feeling.
High five. Healing.
And there are
Healing.
It's about feelings too, generating good feelings.
It's healing though.
Yeah.
We're gonna heal you, sister. Alright, we have now a motion. How about a second? You see where you're feeling better. Come on.
See
Let us do
exactly
yes
what
for
happens. We tried this all.
I'll second it.
a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you so
Look
much.
out, you might get us.
I do have to go. I have a Zoom business meeting, but
Go
I
for it.
appreciate you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.
Next.
I'm gonna
Okay.
leave some of these here. People want not to go into business, but here's some cards. Take care.
My next one is Hillsborough Home Builders, and he's actually putting he's a contractor, works mostly a lot in Cooper's Reef. I've done several jobs with him, he's a nice guy. He has an office down here in the Trahan building. Address, I think, is 73 College Street. I checked it today, Tim and I did, and everything there's just perfect with lights, everything just right, fire extinguishers and all. I'm not sure whether Thomas is here tonight, or anybody here to represent him. But,
He is not here. I think he's on vacation.
okay, yeah, I believe you're right. So, whether y'all wanna take action on it tonight, that's strictly up to you.
The only thing we can do to follow our procedures is you could, if you issue a temporary, then you'd have to come to the next meeting, correct? Because we can't do we can't pass
I'm
a
good with
permit to
everything,
them.
and I can probably tell you what it is, tell you what y'all do.
That's what I'm saying, but at least to follow the procedure.
Or something,
Yeah.
council, or in question.
So do you think, Katie, if he does it temporary, that he could be here at the next meeting, so he can?
I can tell him that he needs to be.
Yeah, that's what, normally that's the procedure, you know, that people are here when they're open, because we're gonna be redoing all of our permits.
Right.
Both, and then our vendor's license too this year, it's been a while. So, and that way we just get to know people, and then they get to know the town people and sort of set up a process.
Absolutely. I'll let him know and let him know he needs to be at the next meeting.
And we don't even have to move on that. Earl can do a temporary without us, and then we can, approve it to the next meeting.
Okay.
Correct, Earl?
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Okay, the Whimsy Willow, Jessica Lusk.
come on up.
There we go.
On this last month's business meeting too, we had a lot going on. We've been to 2 markets already, so we've been getting some really interesting stuff for you guys. We will be located, it is the Whimsy Willow. It's named after my daughter. We will be located in the Country Mart between High Vibes and Monteagle Nutrition. So hopefully they're gonna rub off on me a little bit. So I liked her energy. So I'll be going over there to get de-stressed, I guess. But we are looking forward to bringing some, we know that there is other retail in the area, but we're looking forward to bringing some unique things. Home decor is a big thing that, niche that I think we're missing here. Personalized Monteagle, apparel, accessories, decor. All of that will be involved, and so we just want to be in part of the community, and we think it's a good time for something like this to be in the area, because between the caverns and Pelham being so popular, the tiny home community, we're going to capitalize on some of that hopefully, and the Mountain Goat Trail right in front of the Country Mart. So I have taught high school economics and marketing for 14 years at Grundy County High School. So this is a totally new venture for me, but it is something that I'm very passionate about and excited about, and come by and see me. We're going to have our grand opening the 6th of August, all things go well.
Can you send them to us so we can?
Sure will.
All right, anyone have any questions for Jessica?
I'll make a motion to approve the Whimsy Willow business license.
I'll second. We have 2 seconds now. No any discussion. All in favor? Aye. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, Earl, is that all your?
That's all of it, and I have one more comment to make, because this is something that's just occurred to me over the last several meetings, with all the new businesses that are actually coming into Monteagle, and it's just.
It's exciting,
I think it's
it really is.
exciting, it's a wonderful thing.
And a lot of them are home folks, you know, just like the other girls' mother's been here, and then Jessica's parents are here, and just, you know, it's really exciting. So,
Anybody have anything else for me?
well, I do while you're up here.
I'm sorry, what?
I do while you're up here, let's just go ahead and take care of your ordinance.
Go for it.
We have the first reading on ordinance 1321 to adopt the codes of, Dale, where's this one? 1321. And Earl, you can correct me at any time, I'll read the header. Ordinance 1321, an ordinance for the town of Monteagle, Tennessee, to amend Title 12 of the municipal codes to adopt the provisions of an update to the certain standard code. We are adopting the codes of 2018, is that correct?
That's correct.
And that was on your recommendation to the council and the planning commission?
Yep.
So we're updating our codes book.
We're going from the 2012s to the 2018s.
So this will be the first reading on that ordinance when we get Mr. Gary.
One of the reasons for that is to stay in state guidelines, we're supposed to stay within 7 years of the latest edition. Every jurisdiction has to. And we need to upgrade that. And the 2018s, I found have some things in them that I really like better than the 12s. So it just needs to be done.
How does this affect pending projects? So people already have a building permit, they're gonna stay under the old code, or is it gonna change people's code mid-course?
Whoever's got a permit I'm working on now will stay in the 12s. any new permits issued after your adoption of the 18s will go to the 18 codes. But it's not like, you know, daylight and dark, if you go from the 12 to 18. There'll be a few little minor changes, probably. But typically, if I find something that hasn't been done, you know, should be the 18 code, but they've done it under the 12. If it's not a life safety issue, I'll say, hey, on the next job, you need to go on up there and do it this way, because we're on the 18s now. But if it's a life safety issue, it's something that has to be addressed immediately. But if it's not life safety, then you work with people. You know?
And this is adopting the code only, not the recommended fee structures. We talked about
Well,
that.
now, I asked them to go ahead and adopt the fee schedule too, but I don't know if it's in the ordinance or not.
Is that?
I think it is.
Is it in the
I think it is.
Well, you have the
Sam and
ordinance
I-
there and you had it in your packet, so Sam prepared it for us. He
Well,
said to read the
prepared it,
code.
and we talked about that, and I think it is in there.
Jim, you go 13. So, that was in your packet, Nate, so.
Yeah, I'm reading it. I had scanned it.
Cause I know you had told Sam that you wanted to include that.
Well, I just recommend it, I mean, that's something y'all need to.
Well, I mean, your
The
recommendation.
thing about that is, anything that's in the appendix of the code book has to be adopted separately than the code does. So if you wanna adopt that, that's gotta be, just because you adopt the 2018 codes don't mean you've adopted that's something in the appendix. That
Well,
has to be included.
That's why I was asking, because I know we had,
I'm pretty sure it's in there somewhere.
Here it is. Section 9, look at section 9, it says fee schedules included in the appendix, so it's actually in the ordinance.
so we probably need to look at those. I know you had said that our fees were outdated.
Well, you're under the 2019s now, I mean, yeah, no, no, the 1998, 1997, that's what, you're working under the 1997 standard building code fees, is what you're working on.
Well, while we had said that while our codes were, our fees were definitely too low, some of the recommended codes may be more geared more toward an urban area. So I do want to make sure that we look at those and I don't want to gouge people. So, why don't we adopt them, and then, I'll put on my to-do list to actually look at the fee
Well, now,
structures.
here's another little caveat to that. Last year, the prior administration, we went through that then, and they wanted to update to the new versions, and there were some people that didn't want to do it. So if I'm not badly mistaken, the motion that was made was to put that off for 1 year, and in 1 year that you would go to the standard adopted code appendix.
Oh.
So we need to check that.
That was done to you about a year ago, but you might wanna check that, but, I think that's somewhere.
So according to Deb, that did happen, but since we now have a committee working on codes and municipal and on zoning, they can review that, and that change could be made before the second reading of the ordinance. So
And another thing you gotta take into consideration, in my opinion, 80% of the new home construction is done by people that's moving in Cooley's Rift and moving in Shadow Rock, and there's people coming in here from somewhere else. And they're used to, I mean, they come from Murfreesboro, they come from all these other places, they're used to an appropriate fee for a building permit. You know? So you're not really gigging your own people, there'll be some of that. The majority of it's gonna be.
well, I don't think you're digging anyone. We're not gonna dig anyone. I go on record and say, or are we gonna gouge, sir?
Well, and once they move here, they become our people. So I don't want to gouge anybody. I'd say it sounds like I think to Marilyn's point, we can look at them as part of the codes review and go ahead and adopt it on first reading tonight, and then look at it.
Whatever you wanna do, I'll do. I'll be.
Okay. So, back to the first reading of ordinance 13-21, adoption of codes, building codes 2018, which was recommended with fees at this point and it was a recommendation by our codes enforcement officer, correct? So I wanna make sure my terminology is correct. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve, resolution, although you have to tell me the name again.
1321.
13-21.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, discussion. Any more? Roll call vote. Nate?
Yes.
Alvin?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Doreen?
Yes.
Myself? Yes. Okay.
Now, one more little thing, whether y'all want to or not, you wanna keep a set of books here in the office, I can get them, about $900 for the whole set. I have one of my own that I use, but I think it's TCA something says that you're supposed to have a copy in the office.
And I think
Somebody
you're
wants to look at
correct.
it, even though they couldn't understand the 800 or 900 pages of it, but that's something y'all need to think about.
I mean, if the TCA code says it, by the next time we'll know for sure and we need to purchase that. We'll know that at the next meeting. We'll check TCA code.
If you need me to get them, since I'm a member of ICC, I get a full break on all this stuff.
Is it available online?
I'm sorry,
Is
what?
it available online? No.
Well, yeah, you can, if you pay for it.
Same difference.
ICC, they'll do that,
They're gonna get their money.
but you know, it's a subscription fee.
Did you have anything else for us tonight? No? Okay. Does anyone have anything else for our codes enforcement officer since we've already had to move him up quickly? Okay. Thank you, Earl. Appreciate you. I think we're done. I think we're done with council. All right, you bug out. Now, next
Thank
would
you,
be
Earl.
911 report. I saw Heather out in the hall.
Yeah,
Oh, you're sitting down.
yeah, I thought I had a seat.
Yeah, I didn't know, as you come up, we do want to thank you and your dispatchers and everyone for the job they've done. I know we're getting ready to work with you, probably in 3 or 4 days, from what I understand, instead of just going through a transition.
Yes.
But, of course, we've talked to Don this afternoon, and we'll continue, to have that great relationship, and y'all still be here, but, thank you, and thank your dispatchers, and
Thank
we do
y'all.
appreciate you.
I did do a CAD incident report again to keep y'all up to date on how many calls and stuff that we have been answering there. And from 5/28 to 6/28, a total of 1,958 calls. That's calls that we've done CADs on, that's not just rinky-dink calls. We paged and did CADs for 11 Altamont Fire Departments calls. We've had Birchville Spring Fire Department at 6. We had Colmont Fire and Rescue at 9. The Constable 18 at 2. Then Brooklyn Logger, we paged them out 8 times. The Sheriff's Department had a total of 1,121 calls that we started CADs on. Grundy EMS, just CAD calls that were needing an ambulance, not transferred from hospital to hospital. Those are not counted, 243. We had Monteagle Fire and Rescue that was paged out 22 times. We had Monteagle PD that took a total of 396 calls that we started CADs on. Palmer Fire and Rescue, 4 CADs. Pelham Fire Department, 31 CADs. Then South Carolina Recreation Area, we had 3 CADs. Tennessee Wildlife Resources, 1 CAD. Tracy City Fire Department, 10 CADs. And Tracy City Police Department, 91 CADs. That's a grand total of 1,958 CAD calls.
Good job.
Do you have any questions for Heather? Or
Thank you. So this will be our last 911 report.
Yes.
yes, for
It'll come
us,
off the
we'll
agenda.
work with.
Yeah.
We'll be working with Don and that relationship. It's more.
Are you excited?
Well, I'm a little nervous, but yeah. And thank y'all again.
I have a question.
Yes.
Heather, could you explain how 911 operates, since we're a town where there's 3 different counties? When people in the town call 911, what happens? Depending
Well,
on
when
where
they
you
call
live.
911, depending on the area and the GPSing of it, if they're in Franklin County, we would transfer that call to Franklin County. We let them know what station we are, like we would say, we're Grundy 911, this is a call transfer, and relay the information that we get on our computer screen. That way, if they lose contact, then they know to contact us back before we can give them that information. And then on Marion County side, we transfer it to Marion County. But if it's a fire and it's up here in our area, we automatically send Monteagle to that area, even though it's in Marion County, or, like out towards Swanee area, and we go ahead and let Swanee know where they've got backup, that could be headed that way, so.
Is that true of police also?
Yes, yes. For instance, the shooting that we had, of course, all y'all know that's the reason why we wouldn't hear on time. It was in the county, but you've got Tracy on one side of Armory Road, you got Monteagle on the other side of Armory Road, and you've got the county runs down the middle of the road. So you got the residences that this happened at that's in the county, so we sent Monteagle, Tracy, and county. I'd rather have too many than not enough. We can always send some back.
Well, that happens a lot of time in this area because we do have 3 counties, and you don't.
Not real bad.
Franklin, I know, but we
Yeah.
do have the different calls from,
Yes.
you know, whether it be county or Trestle Road or that area. That is, we have been in
Now,
a
we
lot
do
of
have quite a
situations.
few calls from like the Trussell Road area and stuff
Mhm.
like that, but, usually we just go ahead and advise Marion County, and then they'll advise us if they need Monteagle for backup or a quicker response, depending on the call, the emergency of the call. We would decide, and then if, like, say if it was a shooting or something like that, we'd go ahead and roll Monteagle and say, Marion County, we need you 33 traffic, which is emergency traffic. So, yeah, you're gonna get help, no matter where you're at.
I know Jessica had some questions. Do you have a non-emergency number?
I do. The non-emergency number, of course, it rolls over to our other lines, is 924-2077. That will automatically roll over to 2078 and then 2081. So we've got 2 admin lines, and then we've got 9 911 lines. And then we've got 3 cell lines, 911 cell lines.
Good.
Any other questions? Thank you again, we appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to go, let's do utility manager to just, since we already messed up the order, because we do have Travis here. If he needs to report anything while he's here, we'll go ahead and get you and John, y'all can tag team, so. Travis is our engineer with the town of Monteagle, so we'll let y'all now have the floor.
I don't have anything specific to report unless someone has questions.
John?
We're working on a few things, we've got some pricing and stuff yet. We're working, and I did talk to Greg today about the high, I've got a meter over there, so it's okay. Maybe here tomorrow.
And you did that last week, and then of course got with Greg to let him know you will be testing, and you did mention some things in that meeting that would make it more efficient for the fire chief in your terminology of testing meters. I'm just gonna leave that to you guys, because I don't know how to test meters, it's just a process. So
Well, that's your program.
that's what he's working on.
Oh, is that what you're working, is that what you're talking about? The one that you said was down, or they fixed it?
That's
Tell me.
plain.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he got another email from another gentleman and some other parts that we may have to have with this other guy didn't tell me, so we're gonna get together on it, he's gonna find out exactly what it is.
Some more money.
Yeah, we just need to make sure that the software and the equipment works together. So the software is several years old, and the software package for the SCADA needs to communicate with the equipment, the meters that are at the plant. And if you upgrade just the software, some of the equipment may not communicate with the newer software, and so it may be necessary to upgrade some of the equipment so that it will communicate with the upgraded software. So we just need to verify that with the manufacturer.
You should have that next month, is that correct?
That's correct.
John? And then you have also the pricing on the GPS system you discussed, and maybe some other news that we can announce then. So.
John had mentioned that some of the sensors at the water plant are proprietary and associated with the software. Is that the issue, or is it an issue of just general obsolescence?
Some of both. I think it is somewhat proprietary in that it communicates with specific pieces of the software, and so if you change the software, then you have to change the mechanisms of the equipment in the SCADA system so that it will tell valves to turn on and off and do things that it needs to so that it's automated. And if you upgrade the software, then that changes some of the firmware, I guess would be the correct terminology of that.
Are there sensors that are with open source firmware that we could begin to transition to something to give us a lot more flexibility for software, or is that?
I think unfortunately, if you change systems completely, then that there are a lot of options, but the problem is when you do that, then that's going to require a lot more expensive, comprehensive change in a lot of different things, and so you either spend a lot of money or a lot more money, depending on what they kind of go together, and once you get hooked in, it's very expensive to change.
Right. So I know in some of the automated lock technologies now, they've got open source options that can be programmed in with multiple software. That's what I was wondering. Can we move toward more generic controls so that we can have that flexibility, or is it just not something that's done? I just don't know.
I think the danger in that is the open source is that there's so much dependence on customization that when something doesn't work right, then you're dependent on usually one or two people to fix that, and then your customer service really goes downhill because it's not a standard off-the-shelf type software package system, and you're relying on one or two people to really fix that. So that gets expensive when you get hooked into a situation where you can't get anybody to service the issue.
So, John would have to learn computer programming.
That's good.
That's correct.
Well, next.
And I don't know how to, I have no clue how to do it.
Back to one. John, I know you've worked on this. I know I've spoken with Mike Pardon, and I know Butner's here, and of course you're not involved with that. You're involved with the grant process and some other stuff we're working. And Travis will be working with us on the TDOT stuff because of the water and sewer issues we'll have to deal with that we didn't meet with, but because a lot of things are beginning to come together. But we did, I know that you talked to, Greg had talked to a electrician, we called 2 or 3 to come up to look at both sets of the interstate lights because they're all out now. And I don't think we had a temporary fix as of yet, do we? Because since it's utilities and streets and, infrastructure here. Well, I know that Greg had spoke with an electrician, and both of you all had, and then I did speak with Mike Pardon. He's going to schedule a meeting to meet with me and meet with the commissioner of TDOT to see what they can do that's less expensive, but it's long term. And he's planning out, he was out of town last week at some seminar, so Mike did say he'd get with me in the next week or 2. I don't anticipate it before July the 4th, but then also the TDOT commissioner and see what we can do as a temporary fix and a long-term fix. But that we are working that issue because they're not just one section, they all went back out, so.
Can we, as we look at light options, I know we had talked when the RBT thing came up, we talked about dark sky compliant lighting. Is that something we can incorporate in?
TDOT does that now with their lighting.
They're all dark sky compliant?
Well, I'm not gonna say all, but they do review those items when they're doing it,
Well, if we're asking our developers to do it, it'd be great for us to lead by example.
And I think we have to, and I think since it's a state highway, you would think that if they're enforcing those things, they would, so. But that's just seeing what are our options temporarily and what are our options long term. To where we're not spending thousands of dollars every so many months trying to fix something and they're not staying fixed. But we're working on it. We'll keep working on it as soon as, when none of us are electricians, y'all can't do it because there's no way of switching out the bulbs, right? That's what you said, it's more than a bulb problem.
Yeah, it is in a lot of it.
So, just since it falls under all infrastructure
All the
issues.
bulbs have been changed over to LED, so it's in the panels or the wiring, so.
Okay. So at least as we get progress with that, we'll know when electricians come and when Mike comes up, we'll go from there. Okay. Anything else for John and Travis, folks?
One last thing. We talked about the water tower upgrades, and you gave a price, and John, you had mentioned that maybe it didn't include paint. Did y'all figure out what that was? It does include paint.
It did. I spoke with a couple of different contractors. I went over the latest inspection report with them that was done last year for the town, and the price that just a general price. Obviously, it wasn't a bid price, but they had the report, and I discussed details with them, and that included all repairs inside and out. That included containment on both tanks,
okay.
Painting and repairs, and both inside and out. So that was a comprehensive 100% makeover.
And so are we waiting on anything to go ahead
Well,
and get one of those rolling? I'm just
yes, a couple of things that we can't announce yet until
okay.
hopefully next month, because well, you all are a little aware of it, but until it's been announced through the state, we can't announce that.
Okay. So
However,
if there's funding pending, that's
yeah, there's
great.
funding pending, as well as he's confirming everything we're doing. And also, I made the phone call today to T-Mobile about the condition, and Travis reviewed that, because all that's gonna have to be removed, and it shouldn't have ever been put up there. And also, we're having the contract review, because it's been 10 years. And the language in the contract, so Sam will have to do that. And then there's a couple other things that will have to be done before they can even start work.
Well, the reason I ask about paint is when we first started talking about the multimodal grant and reusing the railroad bridge, Senator Bowling and Jenny Veal and I started looking into funding to do some sort of welcome to Monteagle paint or something on that bridge, and it looked like there was funding available. Is that something that it would come after the painting, obviously, but is it something
that price included a logo?
What's that?
That price included a logo on the top.
Excellent. Never mind then. We don't have to chase that down.
I'm already one step ahead of it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's good. It's got a logo on it. That's great.
On the city, on the main tank, not on the other tank.
Now, we're talking about, so we could do tourism here, because we're also working with not only Southeastern Development, but Janet, that we're looking at some tourism options, which.
Well, Jenny had some options through tourism development to do some of that painting,
But
so.
this was 100%, and this is the one we're talking about. So by next month, we'll know, hopefully, how little we have to pay on that project, plus a couple other projects that maybe can be funded, but Travis is pursuing those right now.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just trying to look at a lot of different options and get as many pieces of the puzzle together to make better decisions for the future. And so just trying to get all those in a line right now, so we should know more about that next meeting.
And you will know something by next meeting about awards. We will know by then, won't we? They can be announced.
I hope so. They didn't indicate for sure that that was the thought.
Well, I think they will. It's after July 4th, so the new fiscal year. So, but anyway, so do you have any? I'm looking around. Do y'all have anything else for Travis or John? Thank you, Travis. I think we're finished. We probably need John a little bit more since his utilities totally. Roads and streets. Do you want to?
Yeah, we did what we talked about on the Grant County side, roads and some partial roads that we're sinking in. We got those done. And they came back and started today, I guess cause of the rain and stuff, they held them up. On the Marion County side, on the access road.
So now, when you say Grundy County, are they completed those roads, or do they have to come back? Is it that settlement process with the township?
No.
So are they done?
They're done.
Okay, so those are completed.
Yeah.
So that answered that question. So then they came in under budget, right?
I don't know if she got the bill.
It was 7 something instead of 10 that we had approved in the past, so actually came in 3,000, and he actually did more areas, from what I understand, where he did the fillings. Of course, we're doing partial fixes is what we say on those roads.
Yeah, a couple intersections where we changed up water valves, stuff like that.
So that's good. We come under budget, right? Y'all have anything else for?
I always forget to mention this to you when I see you, so it just came to my mind. In front of Miss Becky Byers' house, there's a pothole on King Street next time you're out with Cold Pack.
Yeah.
I keep driving around it.
That's like one of the places we just did where when they done the pipe bursting on the sewer, some of those around, they're still settling.
Okay.
And we filled it before, I mean.
Okay.
And you are doing some co-patching right now, aren't you? That's what I thought you said. Okay. Any other questions for Keith?
Nope.
Okay. We will ask y'all to stay just for a little while. Okay. All right. Next, we will go to Parks and Rec. We have asked, we've got multiple people working on activities, Parks and Rec, big grants, projects like the Hannah Park. We have a focus group that's now working, and we have the ball program. So Jessica has decided her and Doreen on that committee, and Jessica said she would chair it. Alvin said he would help with the ball program portion, and then we have others with focus group and the committees and activities that are working. So we got multiple facets going on to do events. So I'm gonna let Jessica tell you where she's found out where we're at this point.
The first thing that our group is working on is the July 3rd events, which will take place early in the morning, 9 o'clock, line up for the parade. And if you're considering having a float or a group in the parade, it's not too late to come and register. You can do it the day of at the VFW Hall. They'll be open at 9 o'clock. The parade will kick off at 10, and there are going to be 7 prizes, $25 up to $100 for things like the best float, the best costume, the best horse, the best car, and those will be presented at the end of the parade. And then there's going to be a car show starting at 11 o'clock, and Doreen knows more about that.
It's just gonna be, it's gonna be a cruise in at the local. There'll be live music, naturally they'll have food, and it'll last as long as there's anybody there.
Now y'all doing vendors any that day? There'll be some vendors in different places, right?
There'll be, for sure, out at the fireworks,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
There'll be 3 vendors there, I think. Mosaic Center, what is the other?
Buck ice cream.
Yeah, Buck's Ice Cream's gonna be there, but it's gonna be the Mosaic Center and what is the other one? Echo from New Beginnings Church will be there.
You may have Monteagle Nutrition there, correct?
No.
Did they just say, okay, all right, so.
And then at 9 o'clock, people will meet at the ball field for a fireworks show, and there will be the vendors there. We have been involved with a focus group. Maybe some of you have already filled this out, but there was a little survey that was in the water bills. And this survey, when it's all tallied, will help us to know what people in town how they want to spend the money. Our budget for this next year, starting July 1st till the next July 1st, is $31,000. So we don't have a lot of money, and we have a lot of areas that we have to spread that over. One is Hannah Pickett Park, which needs a new playground. And we're hoping to work with not only Morton Methodist Church, but the Assembly and New Beginnings Church and the Highland Community Church. Some of them have already offered to give us donations to replace the playground equipment that has been removed because it had gotten dangerous. And we hope to involve other people to collect some money for that too. In addition to Hannah Pickett Park, there's Horton Park, Easter egg hunt, Memorial Day services, July the 4th activities, Halloween trunk or treat, Christmas parade and lighting, movies in the park. We hope to start some car shows, and there's the baseball program, which is one of the most expensive areas in the whole budget. The baseball budget is $4,000, but Alvin has done sort of a little survey of the things that need to be repaired, and it's looking like we have anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 in repairs that are needed on the baseball field. So there's going to be some, we have to do some serious debate about where other monies could be freed up to do some of the baseball field repairs. The new dugout, benches, and batting cage, I've heard that there may be some private donors for those, so that would be helpful. But the repairs that we need to make for the $39,000 to $40,000 are in lights and the field itself, just part of the physical plan. We would like to do some street beautification projects that'll happen if money allows, and We are working again with our grant writer, Janet Miller-Schmidt, and she's gonna try to get us some more funds to do things that we don't have budget for.
Well, do you wanna go here, Nate, where we met with TDOT and just sort of give them an overview of what they told us about downtown recreation and additions, that sort of a overview?
Sure. So, the mayor and I met with the Department of Transportation last week to go over the different TDOT projects that were happening in Monteagle and will be happening in Monteagle over the next couple of years. So from an update standpoint, I think before I was on this council, when I was coming just to talk to the council about Mountain Goat projects, I announced that TDOT has taken on putting sidewalks in from Dollar General all the way down to the Waffle House. And so we learned yesterday that that project is probably going to be set to bid this fall. Construction probably won't start till late winter or early spring just because of weather delays, but we're looking forward to that happening. Another very large project that we talked about is the bridge going over the interstate. So again, if y'all heard me talk before, the Mountain Goat Trail Alliance wrote a grant that we were awarded for right at $1 million, and that was to renovate the railroad bridge and turn it into the Mountain Goat Trail. Well, as soon as we were awarded that grant, TDOT said, well, you know, turns out we need to fix the road bridges. And so why don't we remove the railroad bridge and we'll build all new bridges for the cars that will include a walking path. So we learned that they're going to put in a 13-foot sidewalk on the new bridges that are going to cross the interstate. That project is still probably 2 to 3 years out, however, on being full of design. It's a big project. It's going to include some redesign of the on-ramp and off-ramps and redesigning of the median, and it'll also include sidewalks that'll not only cross the interstate but make it to Wren's Nest Drive.
It's on the north side, right? It's
on
only
the
one
north
side.
Yeah.
It's not both sides.
That'll continue the Mountain Goat Trail to Wren's Nest Drive. When TDOT told us that they were going to replace the bridges, we requested and they agreed to continue to give us the $1 million to fix the railroad bridge. So that $1 million is now going to go toward downtown, where we have stormwater and accessibility issues. We've got bike lanes and we've got sidewalks that get us through town, but they could use some improvement. So we're working on the final, we should have our final contract, hopefully for approval by next month's meeting, that will allow us to begin the design process on picking up where the TDOT bridge project stops at Wren's Nest and coming all the way through to the DuBois Center and tying into the Mountain Goat Trail where it's currently under construction outside of City Hall. So we're excited about that. We're beginning the design process, so we don't have a construction date, but we are hoping that through that design process and through the money that I think we've spoken about in the past that we've allocated in this year's budget to hire a planner to help us think about downtown, we can allow this TDOT money, this $1 million, to be informed by a new updated downtown process. It sort of picks up where this the 2020 plan was. So we're hoping that over the next 6 or 8 months, we'll be doing both of those design processes and really be looking for community input to help us figure out how to beautify the downtown and help us see the small town Monteagle that we are all live here because of. So,
yeah, and then of course you do have your project out here just to explain that's going on. You can do that and then we'll revisit just.
Yeah, so this current project in construction is from here at the corner at 41A to Nickajack Trail. It's the next section of the Mountain Goat Trail. It's being funded through Project Diabetes, which is funding through the Tennessee Department of Health. And we think that's probably got another 60 days and it'll be all wrapped up.
Are they still doing the garden out here? Is that put off to later?
The garden is coming through Healthy Roots, which is another nonprofit, and I know less about that. Patrick is in charge.
We'll check. Patrick can let us know at the next meeting. And then we talked about, since we're working on Hannah, the town would recreate the little walking trail out here for the mountain market, and that way we'll have more accessibility as we planned on doing. When we did meet with TDOT though, he was impressed that we had the 2020 beginning. He said if we could pick up there and we have our engineer here and we have our own plan with the mountain goat and we're merging all these things together now again. Probably in August, we'll probably start having town hall meetings if we've hired. I did talk to one consultant today, and I think you spoke with him too, and I'm meeting with him tomorrow. And then the board will hire a consultant. We'll do town hall meetings, we'll do input, and hopefully we can have some of our plans put back into place, as you say, within 6 months or less, because things are moving, infrastructure is moving, grant money's moving, things are going into place right now. So we're moving forward with the activities that we have and that we've started. So is that about it, folks, on Parks and Rec? Okay. Then we'll move over to old business. We're gonna go ahead and do the first amendment, and then I'm gonna get you to come up and answer any questions about the budget, because we have our CPA firm here with us tonight. That's who the lady is here. Well, she'll introduce herself and we'll go from there. But the first thing is the second reading on the ordinance 1121 budget amendment. And it says, ordinance 1121 budget ordinance amendment for the budget for the town of Monteagle for the fiscal year of 2020 and 2021. And this would be the second reading on budget 2021.
And for those who are curious, this is the end of the year housekeeping. I think we talked about it the first time we passed this ordinance, but this is just end of the year housekeeping to make sure that all our budget lines are where they should be as we close out the last budget year. And so given that, I'm gonna make the motion that we approve ordinance 11-21 on the second reading, unless we need to talk about it.
Unless, will we go discussion after the second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote. Nate Wilson?
Yes.
Alvin Powell?
Yes.
Jessica Featherlark?
Yes.
Doreen Parmley?
Yes.
Marilyn Ronda? Yes. Okay. Then next will be the second reading of budget 2021 and 2022. We do have our CPA firm with us. If you have any questions about the budget as far as council, she is here to address those if you need it. You want to come up, or you want to introduce yourself since you'll be working with us more. And of course, this is the monthly firm we use to do our bookkeeping, and then we have an auditor we use once a year as well. So, and they work with Debbie, which
yes. I'm Stephanie Brandon. I'm with the MG Group, and I help assist Monteagle with their bookkeeping and all their accounting needs.
Stephanie, one of the things that we're asked to me, and if you can go over it briefly because you went over it with me today, just over the topics for the last 6 months since that we've been involved, they were wondering how many expenditures we had, you know, how much we've actually spent in each category, how much profit we made. Could you sort of address that for the bottom lines? And, you know, some of them are small revenue increases and some of them are, you know, we bought backhoes. But would you address those items so the council knows that we have any questions?
Right. First I'll start with the general fund, and since November, I did an analysis from November till May, because that's the only time I have the books closed out. I won't have June's closed out obviously until later on in August. But we had an overall surplus in the general fund of $106,000. And with that $106,000, the council decided with one of the ordinance that you read I think it was a month ago, to transfer $65,000 over to the capital replacement fund in order to replenish it for future projects, which still left the general fund with a surplus of $41,000.
We have plus in general funds. So.
Over to street aid. Street aid has a surplus for the same time frame of $342. The capital replacement fund has a surplus of the $578 plus the $65,000 that you sent over to replenish it from the general fund. So that's a total of $65,578. A water and sewer fund, it shows a negative of $142,000. However, that is because of equipment purchases and repairs and maintenance that had to be done. those will be capitalized at the end of the year, and we're looking at more of a positive number. I won't have the exact number for you until the end of the year, but this is from a backhoe that was purchased and some major repairs that you had to do. But like I said, those will be taken out and capitalized.
The 42,000 for the flow monitoring, which was done for the farm, I think it was it 42 or 45, Travis, that we did, that we had to approve? That's also in this number, so.
I think that's about right. It was,
Yeah,
it was
but that
42.
that would be the amount besides minor maintenance that was done during that time frame. So we have actually increased in revenue with everything from the time of November which we were asked, but we've done expenditures which have been through there.
Yeah.
So do y'all have other questions for Stephanie before we do the second reading on the budget 21-22? Nate? Jessica?
No, I don't.
Well, Alvin stepped out, so can we give him just a minute to return? So,
Thank you.
do y'all want to talk to Stephanie about anything right now? So, she'll be working with her grant money too as we get it in, and of course our project money and things that we do. Okay, we do appreciate it. Thank you. And I know you have 5 children, so if you want to go, you don't have to stay if there's no more questions. We're just waiting on Alvin to do the approval of the, or just, if we're going to approve this. Thank you again for being here tonight. No calendar of events. What do we have upcoming, besides you said the parade, which is July the 3rd? And everybody get here early for fireworks, because it's usually a big show and it starts exactly at 9 o'clock. So be here early so you get a parking spot. And we don't charge for parking either, so it's free if the businesses don't mind. Okay. Alvin, did you have any other questions about the second reading of our budget for 21-22? So do I hear a motion to approve the ordinance of the town of Monteagle for the adoption of the budget of the fiscal year beginning July the 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote. Nate?
Yes.
Alvin?
Yes.
Jessica?
Yes.
Doreen?
Yes.
Myself? Yes. Okay, that ends that. Now time for citizens hearing. You get 3 minutes to be heard, so anyone in the audience that wants to be heard, come on, Mike.
This is Michael Roy. I'll talk about some street signs. I wanted to come to the last meeting and I missed it. And I had, I don't know if y'all got these.
Yeah, we gave them the budget, but you can give me again. Yeah, we had those. Well, I think we have those, but do you want to put it with an addendum? Let her have one.
I live at 49 North Bluff Circle in Monteagle, just past the intersection of 4th Street and Lee Avenue, which turns into North Bluff there. And there's been a lot of confusion with addressing in that area. And probably mostly because the street signs at 4th and Lee Avenue are wrong. And then there's a street sign at the next street, which is actually called Bluff Circle. That street sign says it's North Bluff Circle, and that results in a lot of confusion in that delivery services sometimes can't get my packages to me. I've had 2 separate delivery services tell me I have the wrong address on my package when it's addressed correctly. And what I'd like to ask the city to do is to put correct street signs on the intersection of 4th and Lee and Bluff and North Bluff Circle. I made a drawing of suggested street signs at Bluff and North Bluff, which is a really confused area, or a confused sign. So anyway, I'd like to ask the city to put the correct signs at those intersections, and take a look at the drawings I made suggesting the correct signs, and be happy to answer any questions. I understand there's a plan to do some GPS mapping sometime in the future, but I'd like to see correct signs in the meantime at these intersections.
Now, I addressed this with you guys about those signs when this was brought to our attention, as I told you I did. And is this not correct? Y'all put up signs according to 911 mapping, is that not right?
He asked for a sign on the bill and Lee, where it's changed to North Bluff.
Uh-huh.
And if I'm not mistaken, we got him a sign and put there.
Mm-hmm.
Now the North Bluff Circle or whatever, I haven't made any attention to it.
But one of them says North Bluff Drive. According to North 911, there is no such street as North Bluff Drive. The street is North Bluff Circle, which runs from 4th Street all the way out to the bluff. The next street, that little spur road where your house is, that's named, and it's on the 911 map, and I checked with 911 on these things. That is Bluff Circle, it is not North Bluff Circle, so that sign is wrong.
Can y'all get with 911 and with him and do this, because I know it has to be changed through the 911 system. That's what I'm saying. We're not saying you're wrong, but we did address this. Y'all talked to them, so can y'all get this coordinated with the 911 center?
You leave her drawing of what you have there?
Yes.
Yes.
That's the one. And I'll be happy to work with y'all on it. I brought this to the attention of the city back in 2018 under a different administration, and they changed some signs then. But they're still not, they don't reflect the street names. And I got this from 911. I went down to talk to David Crabtree, I think it was, back in 2018.
Yeah.
And I got the map, he printed out the maps for me. And that's what I gave you, the map
I think
showing.
what we did is got the one you asked for.
Yeah, what I was asking for is not what got up there. It may something got lost in translation, but if you look at these maps, and that map I gave y'all came from 911. It shows North Bluff Circle and Bluff Circle. There's no such street as North Bluff Drive. And
What we may have to do, Mike, because you know we did come. If Savannah Parsons is now the 911 mapping person, because Daniel's been gone a year or two. Can y'all get with Savannah and with Mike and make sure what streets where, and make sure the right signage is up? Because I know we're not discrediting anything, but that way we know the mapping person has said this is that street. We've got the specific name and it agrees with what you're saying, because now Daniel's gone and people have changed, and so can we do that? And they'll get with you.
what I'm saying is what 911 told me.
Yeah, and I agree, we're not saying it's not what they told you.
Yeah.
But that way they know when they put up the sign that we're not just doing it over.
It's part of the problem. If I pick up my phone and call 911, it's gonna say 49 North Bluff Circle. If the ambulance comes down there and sees these wrong street signs, and I have seen an ambulance come by, get to my house and slow down, like they're confused about where to go. And that could be not a very good situation. I've seen that, and many times when I try and tell somebody where I live, and they try and follow their GPS in, they get lost. I tell them, ignore the GPS, ignore the street signs, tell them where to go, and I watch them. They pass right by my house and come back and forth looking. So, if we can get the street signs correct, and then maybe eventually the mapping systems will be correct, and everybody be happy. So that's what I'm asking. Any other questions or comments?
It is, they said they would, can y'all call Mike tomorrow and try to get this done if you're not? If you'll leave a number with these gentlemen over here, they'll take care of it.
I'm in the phone book.
Well, I mean, if there's a number on here, they can call you in the morning.
Yes,
So,
it's
okay,
on there.
all right, y'all got it?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any other citizens that want to be heard?
Mayor and members of the council, thank you for your time. My name is Frank Maxwell. Most people call me Chip. And I own property on Laurel Lake Drive that it goes all the way to down below the second exit where the truck pull-off is. That's the back of my property. So it goes all the way from there to Laurel Lake. I originally bought like 60, I think it was 66 acres. And then there was a 5-acre and a 10-acre tract that I added to that to sort of square the whole thing up. So what I'm asking, Garrett Hayes said that I should start here, that I want to do a subdivision on this plat that I've shown you. Lots 3 and 4 have already been done, and they're under construction now. They've already been framed, actually, and my son is doing those. So I want to create more lots around there. These are a little over 1,500 square foot homes that I think are fairly moderately priced, and I think there's a niche in the market for a lot more of those. It's just missing here, and so we would like to do something that benefits the community. So the issue, I believe, is Wells Street Extension. And as you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 6 lots that are on Wells Road. Now, lot 10 is a reconfiguration based on the fact that I purchased more property. And then the lot below that would be a new lot I would create based upon new land that I acquired. Lot 10, the original lot 9, lot 8, and lot 7, none of that is in the city at the present time. So, I don't really want to see Wells Road opened up, you know, but I'd be very happy if at the top end of Wells Road that we put a barrier there, and then at the south end that we put signage that said this is emergency exit only, or.
Well, see, we weren't here when you started developing, so I'm gonna ask a couple of questions, because it's dumb questions, but you know. Did you own this property when it was purchased, the town purchased it as an access road? Who owned it, or did somebody else own it then?
Somebody else owned it.
Okay, Butler, do you care to come up here and sort of walk me through this? Because is this not where access only roads out? And I'm gonna ask.
I talked to his son this
Okay.
afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blocking it.
So that's the city access road here?
Right.
Okay, so and you listed, because you had said you were here, I don't know if you were familiar with it or not, but this is the access road only that was purchased by the town of Monteagle that Marion County is preparing as an emergency access road now, not as, and, well, so right now it's just gravel as emergency access road, and it cannot bear a certain weight on it.
Right.
So, are you asking for us to open that up as a public road?
No, he don't want it open.
Well, in order to build houses there, I would have to have access to those.
Can I ask a question there, because this is something we're also addressing on roads, since Bud and them are still here. We're looking at weight limits on roads, so is that where this is timber's coming out of, and?
That's all done.
Okay, well, I know that like last week, there was still quite a bit of logging on the side there.
That's just his son had cut piled up.
Okay, so, because I know at one time somebody was timbering out on the road, and that's where the bridge fell, so we were looking at weight limits. When did y'all have the bridge fall? 2 years ago? And I know concrete trucks and stuff like that, we go look at weight limits, so, but that's this area we're talking about.
Right. So, when the property was deeded to the city, it said that the grantors, the previous owners, I'm reading from the quitclaim or the deed, The grantors herein expressly reserve the right to access and use of the above described roadway until such time as same becomes a public street.
That is if it becomes a public street, correct?
Right,
That
so,
doesn't mean it's going to be a public street with that caveat in it, because I think we had our attorney look at it as well.
well, what I'm saying is, I feel like that gives me access, because it was granted.
What we'll have to do is, again, we will have to get our attorney to review that, because you weren't the owner then and we weren't the purchasers, you know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
and we wanna help everybody here, but we also have to take care of our roads. As we know, Laurel Lakes is in a very bad shape, and we're looking at investing in that, you know, maintenance, inspections, what we do in roads.
Are you
So,
wanting access to this back
Well,
side of the property from the?
I'm
original-
fine with closing the top, because,
You're wanting it from the original Wells Road.
yeah, and I'm
Imagine.
fine for that temporarily being blocked, because if it's left open, it's gonna become a dump. We all know that.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know,
but you can't do that.
whatever the plan is, I'm fine with you going ahead with that. It's just that at the point where we get this all subdivided and we build houses, I would like to have that open so people get to their house.
Like you said, that part is not in the city, right?
Yeah, you're talking about the area, it's not even in the city limits, correct?
Lot 7, 8, 9, and basically lot 10 are not in the city. But if I did my proposal, I would want, you know, I would ask the city to accept those.
Well, see, that we're at a point now, and I'm just, you know, with cost and things, the city is, of course, like everyone else, we don't have a city property tax. So we have to maintain roads, we have to maintain our businesses, we have to take care of them. And without a city property tax, you know, we don't get any of Marion County's property tax, we don't get any of Grundy County. It's really, we have to review if we even want to rezone something into the town, because is it to the advantage? It seems more cost, in particular in residential communities. Because I mean, you know, there's some sales tax dollars, but, you know, and you understand this because you're a developer without a property tax, then, you know, you've got a lot of maintenance without any income on it. And we don't share in either of the counties. So honestly, we would have to get the attorney to look at this, but I think before we could answer, I mean, if we answered here, it would just be our own knowledge. We really need our attorney to review it and then come back with his recommendation. And I know we did get an email, but we're not attorneys here. That's the reason we hired him. So we can send this on to him if you want to prepare a letter.
So,
Your request,
what is my next step?
if you will send us basically a summary of what you want, we will send it to our attorney.
Okay.
And with this diagram, and we will get his recommendation on that.
All right.
And then see how we can work with anyone.
And then, as I do the subdivision, you know, have it surveyed and everything, then I would start back at planning commission, right?
Well, I don't think you could do the subdivision until you have deeded access. Isn't that right? That's why Garrett sent you
Well,
us, yeah.
I could probably do the ones along Laurel Lake.
Yeah, you can certainly do the ones along Lower Lake Road, yeah.
You're not landlocked,
No.
you wouldn't be landlocked if he owns property there, it's not developed, he could have access straight to his property, it's out of the area. That's what-
Well, that's,
What it,
the original property that I bought, the only access to the back was that little bitty, this little bitty strip here. See, this wasn't part of my original property.
Right.
That was my only access to all the rest of the property.
Yeah.
Now, since I bought that access road and bought these two
Right.
here, but at the time I bought that property, it's my understanding I had access because that was my only frontage.
Right.
So anyway, I'll write a letter.
Yeah, if you'll just get something so we can send it to our attorney and we can work this out, because we don't want to landlock anyone. If you'll get it to, drop it off at town hall, you'll get it on to the attorney.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Any other citizens or anyone else wants to be heard? Are you, Landon?
Yes, ma'am.
With you, would you like to come up if you want to, if you don't mind, because there was an issue, just to clarify. Okay. you're with Richardson Sanitation, and I think, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong or not, was that not the one that Joe B used to have up here?
Correct.
Yes,
Or
it
something.
is.
Okay, that y'all purchased that, so it was a local business, it's not now. And I know you said, do you provide sanitation service for this area, commercial and residential?
We do.
Okay, and just, I'm curious because this came up. Again, we're gonna ask you because the issues came up, because I know it was Joe B's, if you don't mind. And I think everybody knows who Joe B. Lum was, correct? He was a citizen here forever.
Yes.
He had a record service and he also had a sanitation service forever doing. And he did do commercial and residential, did he not?
He did. He actually has some residential right here in Monteagle. And it's my understanding that for years, once Nunley started picking up, Joe B requested numerous times for him not to be allowed, that business not to be allowed to dump for free at the Monteagle Convenience Center, because number one, Joe B was a registered business, Long's Sanitation, and offered the same business as Nunley was doing for the residents of Monteagle, and was not allowed to use the convenience center.
So how did he do with his, what did he do when he picked up? What happened?
He would have to take the garbage to the landfill in Jasper. The truck is weighed in and weighed when it comes out, and he's charged by tonnage.
Okay, so he did that even until the time he passed?
Yes, he
passed
did.
away?
Yes, he did, and that's what Richardson Waste has to do now. You know, I'm not really sure what Nunley Sanitation charged, but
I
you
think
know,
Mr. Nunley's here, aren't you? Yeah, Mr. Nunley's in the hall.
you know, Joe B was very reasonable with his rates for household garbage in the city of Monteagle. It's $35 a month. You know, if somebody's offering a service and charging for it, that to me is a business. And, you know, there should have been some, you know, what, do you just start a business in Monteagle without, you know, can I just come in and say, well, I wanna start picking up sanitation?
Well, I think that's the reason we're renewing all of our permits. We have a permit that we give to our stationary businesses, and then vendors have to pay a fee, but that still is just to know who's in your town working. And again, I can't speak for anyone else, but what we said we would do as July 1st when we were looking at our budget, correct, council? So I'm talking, this is today what we said we're going to do. The problem is we know it's a joint service. It is Marion County's compactor. It is Grundy County's open top. And Monteagle pays, it's Monteagle's location, and Monteagle pays for the employees. So it did come up about the overflow of the convenience center. I called Mayor Jackson. Both, we were actually meeting at a TDOT meeting, the Mountain Goat meeting, both, is it Keith, were you in there? Nate and Jessica were in the office, not breaking a sunshine law because they wouldn't do anything, but it was for the Mountain Goat. When we spoke, Mayor Jackson called me because I had asked for more pickups because it was running over. I'm just trying to get to the source here.
Right.
And Mr. Dunley, if you don't care if you'll come in, because this is, also since this came up, you know, on Facebook and everywhere else. Yeah, I mean, just come up front. So here's what happened. And that's when that Mayor Jackson said, absolutely no dumping, commercial dumping, any sanitation service at the convenience center. He said, we pick up and we pay. You know, that's where it came about. Then he also went on to tell us and said, if they're caught, they can be fined. And he specifically said that on the phone. Then it came about, of course, you know, Mr. Nunley, you're welcome to come up front if you don't mind. So, because you called me on a Monday, I think, Tuesday? Yes. Monday or Tuesday. And of course, as I told you then, I was in the office and I was on speakerphone. Yes. And you told me you had just got off the phone with Marion County, and they told you absolutely no dumping at the convenience center, correct?
Yes.
And that's what I told you as well. That's what I was told both by Grundy County Mayor Brady and by Marion County Mayor.
Yes.
And then somehow between those two things, saying we're not stopping anyone from dumping, we just can't allow you to do at the convenience center, but somehow that got misconstrued.
Right.
That we were not allowing you to dump in Monteagle on Facebook and everywhere else. Everybody knows, you know, not only Facebook, but we've been called, people wanna know, because this is a commercial business. And as you and I talked, we did go back and look at your original business license in 2005, which now we need a vendor's license for everyone. Even if you do business, that doesn't say we're gonna let you use the convenience center. But, you were registered both as a commercial and a residential business, correct?
As far as I know,
Well, there's a copy in there we can get.
Yes.
And then, of course, we did look, and I think the last time even your vendor's license was renewed was 2009 or 2010.
I don't know, I just remember that each year we got a letter for renewal, and then all of a sudden they stopped coming, and I came in, and they said, no, we no longer issue them once you pay your business license.
Good job, vendors, good job. Stop vendors for a while. But we didn't do business, but we could never do a business license if you were out of town. Yeah, I did, yeah. Okay, but anyway, so the thing is, we do the vendors thing. So it's came up.
Okay, so, I'm sorry, so my business license is now void?
You
Through
don't
Monteagle?
have a business license because you're a vendor. You do not, is your business in Monteagle, in the corporate city limits of Monteagle? No.
Well, I don't know how you.
Where is your physical location when you do taxes?
My home, because I am a DBA doing business as.
Yes.
So, my physical address is not a commercial address.
But it is in, it's not in Monteagle, correct?
No, ma'am, it is not.
It's in Tracy, is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay, so you would pay county license, or you would pay city license, or you would pay for that location, correct?
Yes.
So you wouldn't need a business license. You need a vendor's license because your business is located in Tracy City. You just need a vendor's license to operate here,
But
which
that-
is cheaper than a business
It's
license.
$50 a year,
Yeah.
but that does not give you,
The right to dump in the convenience center, that's. a different
because
issue.
that's some other thing. So, was just trying to clarify, we had a business owner that actually lived here that was not allowed to dump. I don't know how the dumping situation that you were allowed to do
Okay,
happened.
you know, we actually, and a lot of people is questioning how we've done this. We have always come before, you know, if the city has approached us, we've always come forward and resolved it. As far as you keep wondering about the landfill, the last issue we have with that, we came through the city, we worked in, and we went through Mr. Graham, with that current mayor of Marion County, and he granted us access because we did not have a landfill up here. So he granted us access to use the convenience center.
Because that
So
was like,
we've never done it, you know, illegally.
so that was like 10 years ago, because I think
Ma'am,
Mayor Jackson said they had been through 3 cycles or so, that was 10 years ago. So you've never had that arrangement, according to Mayor Jackson with him, because he just said
Oh,
absolutely.
no, I've never spoke up until, Monday, I've never spoken.
But he did tell you absolutely no dumping there before you called me, correct?
He had said no dumping, no commercial dumping.
That's what I'm
commercial
saying, no
business.
commercial dumping. So, back to, are you a commercial business?
Yes, ma'am.
So,
I'm not arguing whether I can dump, I mean, you asked me to come up, I'm just trying to answer your questions, I'm not.
well, I'm just trying to clarify
Yes,
that we
yes.
did not stop anybody from picking up a sanitation
No,
service,
no.
not Joe B. We did not stop Richardson, we have not stopped Nunley's. We just said
You just
based
stopped
upon, well, based upon the information we received from the county mayors, no commercial business can dump there. That
Yes.
wasn't, and there was 2 council people in there when the first phone call was made, and then after you and I spoke, that you had smoked with Mayor Jackson before you spoke with me.
Yeah, I
Because,
spoke with him while I was waiting on your return call.
yeah, and so he had told you the same thing. So I'm just trying to make sure this is clarified that Monteagle did not stop anybody from dumping. It's a convenience center for residents. Is that what you were told? And you did provide a service to residents here if needed, just like you did commercial business, just like Mr. Nolly, or, and have a vendor's permit now to do it, you know, so. And, all right, so council, here's the option, as y'all know. You know, I want to clarify first, for all the misnomers and rumors, that we did not stop anybody from running their business here. There's just a process of which we must follow. And the convenience center, as we were told, and you were told, and everyone else was told here, is for residents to drop their trash off. Then at that point, only recycling can be done from like other counties that are not here. It's for Grundy, Marion, and limited houses in Franklin. They're in the corporate city limits of Monteagle, correct?
And so, Mr. Nunley, just to clarify, you're in business, you've got it figured out with the convenience center about how to drop off at the convenience center so that you're able to, I mean, at the convenience center in Jasper so that you're able to continue to serve your customers?
We're working on, because we were never set up to be a disposal. We actually were never set up to be such, you know, the size we are. This was a little project started and it grew and grew. But we have never anticipated having to use a landfill, you know, being just residential, you know, your garbage to your dump. I mean, we never.
But you have a place to take your.
Well, at this current time, I am not picking up any of my customers.
Oh, really?
No, and that was the whole thing, is to let my customers know, you know, till I get this figured out or grow enough to get, you know, bigger trucks, that I could not service them. That was the simple just of mine, is that I could not service them at all. So my customers have not been picked up for a week.
So the hitching you're getting along now, though, is getting set up as a vendor down at the Jasper landfill?
We're in a multiple process of trying to do multiple locations now.
Okay, because we want you to stay in business, and that I think that's what the mayor's trying to say is we appreciate your small business and want you to stay in business, and we got to figure out how to keep our residential only convenience center here in Monteagle from overflowing. So.
And we're not singling out you, because we had a sanitation service here that did the same thing. And he actually lived here, and he wasn't allowed to dump there.
Ever. And he was in business for 50 years. Yeah. And he was never, ever, even when he started in a pickup truck, never, ever allowed to dump at the convenience center. He always had to take it to a landfill.
How many days a week did you use our convenience center?
During the winter time, it was 2 days a week. Now, the only time I've done it more was in the summer. If I had extra capacity coming out, we have used it up to 4 days.
Well, now,
but we have maintained, you know, minimal loads, because I know before the council had asked, you know, us to maintain 5 loads per week.
Okay, so how many times did you go out there in those 2 to 4 days?
We maintained 5 trips a week. Unless, you know, and they were, sometimes we made full 6.
So
we kept it limited.
You were out there 2 or 3 times a day with the truckload of garbage?
Only on Tuesday. That was our biggest.
On Tuesday, were you there? No, and I'm gonna ask this question. We've been told Tracy City has all these containers. I think they had 10
well,
there.
The thing about, and that's what they don't understand, I cannot pull anything from Marion County or Franklin or anywhere else to Grundy County. That was told us when we started 20 years ago, don't mix counties. So, and that's why my customers not getting picked up, because they're in Marion County. Then I've got to, you know, and I'm not set up with a pickup truck to run up and down the mountain to Jasper to drop a pickup truck load at a time. So that's why they're not getting picked up. But I cannot, under county provisions, pull, because like you say, the taxes, the county taxes that you pay in your county pays for that disposal in your county. So if I pull Marion County garbage into Grundy, then Grundy's paying for somebody in Marion County where their taxes have done pay for it over here in Marion County. So I have to keep Grundy and Grundy, Marion and Marion, except for the Monteagle area where, as you have mentioned multiple times, you have a trifecta of.
But we only have like 11 houses in Franklin County, and you were picking up Franklin too. You were picking up at Midway on Tuesdays.
We picked up the church, and we had brought that to the attention last time we were brought to the council,
Well, I don't know, when was the last
Oh,
time?
ma'am, I don't have that.
Well,
This has been going on since, I know, 2015, when I went back and looked at some of the minutes. This has been going on since 2015. Trash.
Does Grundy let you put your garbage from Grundy in their landfill up here?
They have no landfill now.
They let you go in
In the convenience center?
Do they let you go?
Yes.
They do?
Yes.
So they don't have a problem with that?
Mr. Brady has not, I had a meeting with, Grundy County back in January when they had their council meeting. At that time, we were all on the same page with what I do. You know, after this.
Well, I don't know, this is a convenience center is what they told us. We have one open top from Grundy.
Yes, I'm not disputing that.
And we have recycling.
Yes.
So we were told by both mayors, no commercial entities double.
Well, you might find it, just as a point of information, I carry a lot of my trash down to the landfill, cause it's easier for me to dump than it is to toss it over into that open top. And you know, you get a different rate if you're from Marion County, or if you are a citizen of Monteagle, you get the in-county rate, regardless of which county you live in. So you might find that they can cut you a better deal if you can segregate going down there like you're doing for Grundy. Cause I think it's much cheaper if you get the Marion County rate versus the out-of-county rate to dump down there.
You're talking about at the landfill?
At the landfill in Jasper, yeah.
But now, let me ask you a question, cause you said you only do residential. You don't do any businesses in Monteagle?
No, I didn't say only residential.
Okay. Well, we said household.
Yes.
So, but you do businesses too?
Yes, I did.
So-
Well, up until
Whenever
Tuesday.
you were picking up, you were doing businesses in Monteagle too?
We've done a few, yes.
And so, and some entities are done as a whole, like they simply pays you for one pickup, right? You don't get multiple households over there, correct?
I don't know how you,
Well, I'm saying the assembly, MSSA will pay you instead of each person paying you. So they pay like a business.
I choose not to answer that until I speak with an attorney.
Well, I mean, it's not an attorney, I'm just
Well,
asking because we're saying business versus residential, is like we're saying.
When Mr. Long had, MSSA, it was paid by them. As
By the residents or by the business?
by the business,
By the entity.
by the assembly.
Okay, so, here's our option. We've been told by county mayors, no commercial sanitation dumping.
I don't think we don't have anything we need to vote on or talk about.
No, I'm just letting you know because this has been a big issue over the last week. It's a hot topic. So, the other options we have is and I mean, we appreciate all y'all. I know that if you want to continue, anyone can continue your sanitation. If you're not having a business in Monteagle, you either get a permit or you get a vendor's fee, you know. So, that can be done, but there's options of sanitation services if people want to use them. But we've been told that this is the way it must be. And again, y'all were there, y'all just happened to be there when the phone call came in, and we were there.
Well, you know, there's no easy answer to it, because we're not gonna get another we're not gonna get more service from Marion County. So, there's no easy answer.
But if we did it for one, we should have done it for all of them, we can't do it for everybody. You know,
I mean,
that's where we're
we
at.
don't have a choice. We have no-
And it's basically our hands are the ones talking. You know, we did create the rules, as you said, I know, cause David Jackson did call me after he talked to you, and that was in it when we talked, and they both confirmed that they told you the same thing they told me. So, that wasn't their rules, but we have to follow the rules too, because what was happening, we had residents in Monteagle that could not dump their garbage. You know, we had Marion County residents, I mean, they couldn't dump theirs because of it being built so long. And again, just to confirm that we asked you to come tonight, as Joe B was in that business, which is sold it to another business which provides the service, and he was never allowed to do it, and he was a business owner here in Monteagle. So we're not segregating or doing anything to anyone. So,
Well,
but,
just, I just want to clarify that, we have not done it until, we went through the channels and. I'm just saying, I just don't want the misconception that we snuck in, we've always had, proper.
And I think for people that don't know, what's happened is the Marion County landfill is full. So Marion County has now, where their landfill was, is now a transfer station, and they're paying by the ton to truck that stuff off. So I think it probably made great sense for Mayor Graham years ago to say just dump it in the Monteagle dumpster, but they weren't paying anything. They had their landfill. They were just covering their costs. But now their costs have gone up significantly. Grundy County's costs have gone up significantly. Everybody's cost to dispose of trash has gone up significantly. I don't know if y'all heard of what's happening in Murfreesboro, but their landfill is just about to fill up. So it's an issue everybody's dealing with, and I'm sorry it happened all at once, but I think it's just we need to figure out how to provide the services for our residents, and I hope that there are new ways for you to figure out how to keep your business going using the transfer station.
And again, and to clarify, Monteagle did not say Mr. Nunley cannot dump. That came from the information from the counties as you received, and then I shared that with you just as well on the information we received. But Monteagle was not the executor of, how that commercial businesses are handled. So we wanted to clarify that for the record. And we don't want anybody's business to shut down. I mean, with free enterprises, that happens, but we're gonna look at options later. Do we want to provide pickup service for our residents? I'm saying, I'm talking to the council now out loud. We need to explore this next year. How do we take care of the residents of Monteagle? Because then do we pull out the landfill and let Granny and Mary handle their own situation? Do we contract out with a sanitation service? Because I know you had said, Linda, that y'all do it here in the area and you contract out with, cities and towns. So, I mean, whomever does it, that may be a route that Monteagle takes. Right now, we don't know. We're gonna have to do a poll and a survey on that as well. I hear about the pros and cons on it. So, and I'm sorry that this happened, but again, this was not the mayor or the council. This is something that's always been policy, and, you had the opportunity to dump, there for a long time, but now, according to Marion County, that you've been told, and we've been told, we can't, continue doing that. Or it's gonna be shut down and nobody's gonna be able to dump for days, just like it has been for the last 3 or 4 weeks. So.
Did we need to introduce Mr. Richardson, who also has a...
If you want to, you can introduce yourself. I know
You
he
want to introduce yourself because you also run a sanitation service in the city.
Sure, I'm Landon Richardson Sanitation. We purchased Long Sanitation in October of last year, so enjoyed running up here. Appreciate you guys letting us work in the area, and I do a lot for the university in Swanee there, and a lot of primarily businesses in Monteagle, more of a dumpster service than a residential, but we do service some residents as well.
So, does anyone else have anything to say about our trash situation? We've been talking trash, so that it's just.
May I speak?
Yes.
May I speak
Yes.
from here?
Yes, you
are. Okay. I'm Mary Ann Rose. I live on Laurel Lake Drive. Mr. Nunley, I've known him for 18 years. A fine service. So now all of this happened here. I'm 87 years old. I just had a hip replacement. I had to take my trash to the convenience center. Folks, it's nearly impossible for a senior like I am to take a bag of trash, lift it up, and put it in that open top thing. So if you're going to make any changes for any reason, you're going to have to put a step ladder up on the side of that. I'm being silly here, but it is. I know I'm not the only senior person in this town. I just want to make you all aware how appreciative I am of a gentleman like Mr. Nunley, who actually comes up to my garage door. He doesn't even allow me to take the cans down to the road. He's been very good to me, and I do appreciate you. And, just want to put my 2 cents in to let you know, there's some seniors in this town.
Well, for seniors, let me just ask you this question, and this is something we're gonna do a survey. If Monteagle had its Monteagle residents only, because we're talking corporate city limits, if we had a sanitation service that picked up at households, would that be something? Or
well,
Mr. Long, well, I mean, you're paying for yours. Mr. Long's service has now been sold to Mr. Landon, which he does that here in the area. I mean, we've had 3 or 4 people call us because you said you couldn't do it, so he's picking up some things. So there is a sanitation service available. But my question to you, ma'am, would be, if we provided that service as a city later, would that be for Monteagle residents? See, the problem we've got, you've got Marion County, Franklin County some, but it's limited, and you've got Grundy County dumping out here, as well as commercial businesses, and it can't come whole capacity. So would that be a service that you would think seniors would be interested in, if we could provide that?
Well, I certainly am loyal to this gentleman here. I would prefer to stay with him.
Well, I mean, if he wants to pick up your...
But if he wants to pick up, that's what he's been doing for me all these years. You know, I will be
We're not
more than
stopping
happy.
him. We're not stopping him.
Oh, no, I know you're not.
Yeah.
I read my way through all of that on Facebook. Oh, my dear. Okay.
We're not stopping him.
No, I just wanted to add that services are a necessity. I mean, it's an impossibility, I have to put it that strongly, for me to take bags of garbage to that center, because it's very inconvenient, an open top. But it needs either to be ramped for people of my age, where we can walk up a ramp to throw the trash in, or some other something. But I would prefer to stay with my good fella here.
Again, we're not stopping him.
No, I understand all of that, I understand all of that. But I hope that some arrangement can be made that's good for all sides and for all folks.
Right.
So, that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
And it was an important 2 cents.
Okay, thanks.
Hi, I'm Katie Trahan, and I just want to say I understand that you're not stopping Mr. Nunley, and I understand that this is a difficult situation all the way around. The only thing that I would like to say is, I know you're working on solutions, and it just seems to me that this was an abrupt stop to his business. And from my perspective, I'm not saying you did this to him. Again, I'm not saying this is you. It would have been really nice to have a 30-day notice for him to figure out another way to make things work, to, if he had to renegotiate some of his contracts to accommodate the additional driving and gas, or whatever things needed to be, some additional time to make that happen seems like a fair way to handle things, because no matter what circumstances, this was an abrupt stop to his business and a real inconvenience to some of his customers.
Well, here's the thing, Katie, for over a month, we were having to close down, and I know you're aware of it, because the neighborhoods, we had to close down the convenience center, and we got told by the county mayors, you will stop this immediately. We looked at options and we discussed options, and then Mayor Jackson told me, just like he told Mr. Nunley, it will stop immediately. He told us he would be fine.
I understand.
So I'm saying this is something, And just, most commercial businesses, Piggly Wiggly has a dumpster it's picked up. Locals does, Pollock does. Most commercial businesses has their own dumpsters that's picked up. So, but I don't know where they're getting it. The church used to use Mr. Nulling, now I think they use a different service. There's several, because we've been investigating this for a long time. So this was not on us. They were aware it was coming up.
I do understand all of that, and
So
like I
we
said,
can
I'm not
stop.
saying this is you stopping it. I'm just saying from my perspective, so maybe in working with Mayor Jackson or something, just to I'm just saying, I think that the just boom, today stops seems unfair.
I'll apologize to you on that behalf, because I'll admit, one of the things that I was hoping to do with Mayor Jackson is, for those of you who aren't aware, we are the only town in Marion or Grundy County that we are aware of, or Franklin for that matter, that pays payroll on a convenience center. The rest of them, all those charges are covered by the county. So if you go to the Tracy City dump, all those charges are covered by, personnel and payroll and dumping fees are covered by the county. So we're in a unique situation that's not a good situation to be in, where we're spending almost $30,000 a year at payroll. So I had encouraged the county mayor, I had said to the county mayor, listen, if you want us to help you get this quantity under control, you need to help us with the payroll, because it's payroll that makes a difference, right? It's the people who are there policing cars as they come in that's gonna reduce his volume. And I was trying to use that to leverage to get some help with our payroll costs. And so in as much as that may have pushed it too far and caused this abrupt shift to happen, I feel like I probably bear some culpability for that, and I apologize to both of you, because I didn't want to disrupt a business like this.
And that's not what we intended to anyone, but this has came up in different discussions at city meetings too. So if we're told by county mayor, you've got to stop immediately, just like you were told, then that's the situation that we put in.
It's acceptable. We're acceptable of what has come about. We will do our part to work on our end. But I just wanted to, for me personally, I wanted to clarify that, we've never illegally or under the radar have used the facilities.
And clarification is Monteagle did not say you cannot dump here at this time.
I agree with that several times already, ma'am.
So, and that's
Thanks for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And thank y'all, and y'all are back.
Thank y'all, guys.
Thank you. No, it's done. No, it's done.
Then we're adjourned.
Yeah. Any other discussion, council?
We have to ask probably for citizen comments. There's other people here who have to talk.
All right. Does any other citizens want to?
Going
They're
once,
shaking
going
your-
twice.
Three times, okay.
Make
All
a
right,
motion to
then we
adjourn.
just have football. All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We done?